the KUAM Zoom room, shall we? And we'll go with Guam Police. We're stretching or no?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. Let's go with the Guam Police Department spokesperson, Sergeant Paul Tapao. Good morning, Sarge.
Hey, Hoffaday, good morning. Sabrina, Chris, Jason, Jose, how you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good on this runoff election day. Did you go vote already, Sarge?
This afternoon. This
Okay.
afternoon, the wife and I, we have a tradition where we go in together and
Day.
some debating and everything, and using the right one. But rest
Debating.
assured, I'm going to exercise my right and make my voice be heard. So
Well, the
yeah,
debate
hopefully
between
this
you and the
afternoon.
wife, that's going to be the only debate we saw for this runoff. So.
Yeah.
Sergeant, you get 2 hours to do that. Tell Chief you get 2 hours to go vote.
Yeah, that's the we do have that we afford that to all government employees here too, as well as the Guam Police Department, and we have our we also check in our officers that are staged at the polling sites. So it's a good thing that we're there and we show our presence that in the respective polling sites.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
All right. Well, I wanted to get a few updates, just a couple. First, on that Autoped fatality that happened last week in Dededo. Have there been any arrests at all with regard to that particular case?
Not at this time. We did report that last week, and it's unfortunate that we have to report on fatalities that happened on our roadway. So it was classed as auto pedestrian one leaving scene. With the work of patrol and of course the witnesses that were there, we were able to identify the vehicle and were able to locate the operator and the vehicle. And they were brought in to the traffic investigators at Highway Patrol Division. So this is an ongoing case. We still have a lot of science that we need to put into our report. So understanding where we are now, we are still actively working to close this case, and hopefully we can bring closure to this case, just like some of the previous cases that we reported on, such as the Marble Cave Route 15 incident, where our traffic investigators made the arrest. So, these cases take time. We have to do our reconstruction and, of course, plug in the science from the scene into the final reports that will be prepared for the AG should an arrest or citation or closure for the purposes of the report being made.
So it was a fatal
Yes.
fatal Autoped hit and run.
Yes, it was classified that by our investigators from the Highway Patrol Division.
What about the missing persons report for Michael
It's
Castro?
still active. The mother of the missing individual, Michael Castro, reported it, I believe, on the 8th. Let me get my records just to be on the Sunday, November 8th, the missing persons was filed. We do know that the last time Michael Castro was seen, he was seen operating a beige Lexus. And since then, the vehicle has been located. This is an ongoing investigation. It's still classed as missing persons. Our detectives are actively investigating this case. And again, we are asking, the Guam Police Department is asking the community if anybody has any information. If you look at the timeline, October 29th was the last time Michael Castro was seen. He was operating this vehicle. If anybody has particular information that can aid our investigators, please call our dispatchers at 472-8911, or you can submit a tip anonymously to the Guam Crime Stoppers at guam.crimestoppersweb.com. Again, just to assure the community, we're still moving forward with a missing persons complaint and investigation.
So the car was found in Santa Rita. What was the condition of the vehicle when it was found? And
Unfortunately, this is part of the investigation. So, we are gonna, I'm gonna refrain from making any comments relative to this. Again, this is, the part of the investigation where we are, our detectives need to fill in the gaps. So we want to afford that just to protect the integrity of this case. So, we are still moving forward with this missing persons investigation.
Was it found in a secluded area or at a location known to the family?
It was indicated that it was found in Santa Rita, and the mother did mention that individuals within the Santa Rita proper have provided information relative to that, and of course our detectives reached out. We worked when we found the vehicle. We worked at locating the registered owner of the vehicle, which was listed to Michael Castro. These are things in which we need to look into. And again, to protect the integrity of this case, we want to continue to further the case with our detectives. So should anything come forward from this case or anything other than information that we get from the community, rest assured that as our detectives provide that information, the Guam Police Department will be able to provide further information to the community.
So there's nothing really you can say about the vehicle in terms of
Not at this time. Not at this time, ma'am.
anything else you can say about, I mean, it's been a while. October 29th, reported November 8th. It's going to be a month, and I think in 2 weeks that Mr. Castro has not been. Have you gotten any leads or anything at all?
Oh, they've been, our detectives. I've been briefed by the lead investigator, on pretty much on a daily basis, and we've been keeping close communication, and he's indicated that multiple interviews were conducted. So they're still working the legwork of the case. So again, aiding this investigation and any other case, the Guam Crime Stoppers is a good avenue. Or if anybody has any information, this is where we ask the community to provide information that can aid us. To please contact our detectives, contact our dispatchers, or if you want to remain anonymous, use the Guam Crime Stoppers. Mm-hmm. It's a great avenue in which you can aid a case, and you can actually help bring closure to these cases.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're not going to get anything else on this. So with regard to your officers, have any of them tested positive in the past couple of weeks, at least since we last spoke?
No, we've reported 18 total officers within, and of course to include our civilian support employees, 18 in total for GPD personnel. We had 2 officers return just last week. We still have 2 that are listed out, and they're in good condition. So their command is working. They've mentioned to their respective command that they're ready to come back to work, but unfortunately they have to get the clearance from Department of Public Health and Social Service. But just start of business this week, we've received word that 2 other officers that were in home isolation had recovered from COVID and are back in line, so they're back in service. So these are good news, of course, to our GPD family, and of course the respective families that were affected by the GPD personnel that contracted COVID-19. So we still have 2 more that are home in home isolation, but we are getting communications from them that they're ready to come back, but we're just waiting the clearance from the Department of Public Health and Social Service.
So 18 total, 16 returned, 2 remaining
Yes.
in home isolation. Are there any
Yes.
on quarantine?
Everybody that was in close contact has returned to work. That with the immediate cases that were previously reported, that included our police dispatcher up at Civil Defense. Operations did resume back at Civil Defense with our dispatchers, and of course the specialized units that were affected by and the Southern Precinct Command. So those that were in quarantine, immediate quarantine because of contact tracing or close contact, have returned back from their quarantine and were given the nod to return by Department of Public Health and Social Service. But we still continue to monitor every day. Every day is a new day for the Guam Police Department. Our officers are out in the masses of the community. We still have our COVID response, task force that work closely with Department of Public Health and Social Services, and of course our GPD personnel that are out on patrol. These guys maintain a daily communication with and contact with the community. So our officers are properly fitted with the required PPEs. We do have advanced PPEs that are available to each respective officer and the command. We've actually prepared, and we continue to assure that the safety of our officers and our personnel are met the best that we can to help mitigate the spread. But it really is, our officers doing their due diligence, and of course, understanding that they play a significant role, each individual within the department, whether it's our sworn officers or our civilian support employees. It's that individual responsibility of simply just wearing a mask, maintaining social distancing, and of course, adhering and understanding that there is a virus out there that, it's taking lives, and we understand it wholeheartedly because, we've lost, retired police officer, Lieutenant Avalana. So it still, it still hits with our officers within the line.
Right. And maybe you talked about the safety of your officers. Maybe you can speak to the discussions we had with the DOC director, Joe Carbolito, and he said that there are ongoing talks with the Guam Police Department to get this rapid Abbott testing machine over to be used by GPD and DOC for arrestees.
Yeah.
And maybe you
That's,
can.
that's,
I was going to
go
say
ahead.
maybe you can talk about why this is so needed.
If you really look at it, when we do make an arrest, they are, the constitutional rights is that they have to be seen, their case has to be magistrated and heard. So there is that 24-hour to 48-hour confinement, and with that, that's isolation and of course contact with other individuals. So the unknowns and everything that has been in the discussion, that's still in our agency heads. Director Carbolito and of course Chief Ignacio, to include the offices of the Attorney General and of course the agencies that will provide that service, such as Department of Public Health and Social Service or the Guam Memorial Hospital, that have these 15-minute Abbott tests that can actually give you a reading within 15 to 30 minutes. So it helps in mitigating, and this is something that has been in discussion, and I think it's going to come down to the agency heads and, of course, the government moving forward. This is one way in which we've seen other jurisdictions actually deploy this, where anybody that's going to be confined has to be submitted to a PCR test or that of the Abbott that can register and read a positive or a negative for an individual that may have to be confined in a facility for more than 24 to 48 hours. So again, this is coming from the respective agency heads, such as Director Carbolito, Chief Ignacio, and of course the Attorney Generals and the respective public health providers. So once that comes into fruition, that'll be a great plus for not just our office, not just Department of Correction, but also our officers who are in close contact with the duration of time that is spent with an individual that may be positive, we didn't know about. So it really helps us in contact tracing so that we can actually deploy our mechanism for quarantine and of course identifying those that were part of the case or were actively involved in one case. So we've been getting a good cooperation from both Department of Correction and Public Health when we get information about an arrestee that was processed that had tested positive. It really aided GPD in contact tracing and of course quarantine and isolating those that were in immediate contact. So this is a great tool that we should consider, and of course once the decision's made, it's going to benefit both agencies and of course the community abroad. So this is something in which should it come to fruition, this is a tool that we can use to help mitigate COVID-19, not just in the DOC population, but also with the GPD personnel and the community.
Have you been able to trace back any of the positives within GPD from to a detainee or an arrestee? We've
reported it. We were able to report it, and it was really just going back into the reports and see get an account of which officers were actively involved. Time, distance, and of course PPEs is one of the things in which we look into. We follow the CDC guidance that's reiterated by Department of Public Health and Social Service. 15-minute grace period, if you're in close proximity, if you're not wearing PPEs, these are indicators that you may have a possible exposure. So, being the recipient of information of arrestees that have tested positive, it helps us in identifying the last person that was in contact with this particular arrestee, to include all other aspects such as our processing, our detention facility that does the processing and has to get close and personal with the arrestee for fingerprinting, and of course for our mugshot photo photography and stuff, and of course the investigators and the preliminary cases, or the preliminary individuals that handle the initial stage of the investigation. So just tracing back, it helps us in identifying officers so that we can actually mitigate and contain them, and of course quarantine those that have been exposed. So it's a great tool, it's a great asset that we know. Knowledge is power. If you have that information and we're able to stop the spread and identify that and provide the aid to our officers, then the Guam Police Department will move forward in providing that, ensuring the safety of all the GPD population.
Is there any update on that officer involved shooting investigation? The one that happened in Tamuning on Super
Yeah,
Tuesday?
it's still ongoing. Chief Ignacio did mention, in his press conference that we had in regards to the case and where we are going, how we're going to be moving forward. So we are working closely with the Office of the Attorney General as just to really show transparency and of course to protect the integrity of this particular case. So the Office of the Attorney General is a part of this, and of course separate and apart for the criminal aspect of the investigation. For the administrative investigation portion, the Guam Customs and Quarantine Director Pareto has afforded internal affairs investigators from their side of the shop to conduct an internal investigation for the incident. So two ongoing investigations. We have the criminal aspect that's being handled by the Office of the Attorney General, and of course the administrative investigation that's being handled by the Guam Customs and Quarantine. So this is really, Chief Ignacio had made it clear that we want to be transparent as possible, and of course protect the integrity at the best that we can, in regards to this. So that's where we are. Other than no other information other than what was provided by Chief Ignacio during the press conference.
All right. Anything else going on, Paul, with GPD?
I heard the campaign of the Click It or Ticket, in various languages in our FSM families, and everything. And I thought that was beautiful. And, our traffic investigators, they do work closely with Department of Public Works Office of Highway Safety. And we just want to remind the community that we are approaching the holiday season, and we made last week's announcement of the DUI checkpoints. We are doing our best to really curb the fatalities that happen on our roadway. And one of the best ways in which we can do that is if we can address impaired driving, both those that consume alcohol beverages and of course the introduction of recreational cannabis. We want to remind the community that, there is a virus out there, but if you're going to celebrate, the best thing we can do is designate a responsible sober driver. It's one of the best gifts that we can give during the holiday season. So, we ask the community, please do your part and, celebrate responsibly. And, if you're celebrating at home with your immediate family members, that's recommended by, of course, Department of Public Health and Social Service. But should you choose to operate a vehicle, please have a sober driver.
Mm-hmm. Were there, I know those DWI checkpoints, they were just this past weekend. Were there a number of citations that were issued? People were really out there going out.
Unfortunately, yesterday I wasn't able to get a count of the operation, but I'm gonna meet and do get a back brief relative to the fatal auto pedestrian crash that happened last week, and of course get a back brief as to the DUI operation. So as soon as that information gets available to me, I'll provide it to you offline.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Okay. All right, guys. Stay safe. Thank you so much again for the opportunity. And, please mask up, Guam, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and, just do your part to help stop the spread or mitigate the spread. We really do need to bring the numbers down. I mean, seeing it in triple digits on a daily basis, it's something. And, if you really take a look back, each individual person plays a really critical role in stopping the spread. So do your part, mask up, wash your hands, and practice social distancing.
All right. Stay safe, man.
Thank you, Sarge.
Absolutely. You guys stay safe.
You
God
too. You
bless.
too. God bless.